I thank the lady. And all of you, thanks for being here today, because this is a difficult situation for a lot of people across the country. And I think it was Dr. Mitchell that talked about trust and truth. And I have a habit every time I'm in these meetings anymore is going to get some definitions of what truth and trust are. Truth is nothing more than sincerity in action, character, and utterance. Trust has to do with assured reliance on the character, ability, strength, or truth of someone or something. And this hearing today is about freedom of speech, freedom of religion, and a government that continues to intrude on our private lives in ways that we may not agree with and certainly don't agree with in many, many ways, shapes, and forms. In another, the area of the country where I'm from, there's an old saying that goes something like this: fool me once, shame on you; fool me twice, no, shame on me. And I think we've reached that point in the most transparent administration that we've ever seen. There's one thing that is very clear to me. Transparency has nothing to do with any of this. We take bad policies, and when we can't shove it down the public's throat, we take the package back, rewrap it in a little different color paper, put a little different bow on it, and say, do you like me better now? So I have a very difficult time sitting here in these hearings and getting beyond what it is we're talking about. We are talking about the Constitution. And we are talking about a president whose former job, at the University of Chicago, he was a professor of constitutional law. So I find it difficult to understand how the Constitution only has relevance in certain days and at certain times, and only if it really appeals to something I'm trying to push that day. So we've come to constitutional niceties and constitutional convenience, and what we have done, we have turned our back on freedom of religion, freedom of speech, and again, a government that's too overbearing. So, in light of all that, and Excellency, we could start with you, any of you. Because of the transparency, let me ask you, did anybody in the White House or Secretary Sebelius or anybody from the Department of Health and Human Services ever seek your input in any of this language? Excellency.
Not on this latest round of rules, no.
Okay. Previously?
We certainly had the opportunity to comment when the interim final rule by HHS came out in August of 2011. We had the opportunity to comment. Massive numbers of comments were sent in. As is well known, the President met with Cardinal-designate Dolan, and so there was certainly a meeting at that level. But then, before the final rule came out last Friday, there was no prior consultation.
Would the gentleman yield?
Yes, I will.
But on the earlier promotion of what now is known often as Obamacare, you were well consulted. There was an outreach to get support for that, wasn't there?
When the underlying bill itself was being debated, we certainly had the opportunity to weigh in, and we did.
I thank the gentleman.
Okay. Any other members of the panel? I mean, I really am concerned because we talk all the time about this transparency and collecting from around the country from the best minds available, and then it seems to me we sit back and say, well, you know, we talk to them. You know what, they don't agree with us, so we're going to kind of dismiss that, and we'll go forward. And that's the thing I think that's more disturbing than anything else. I, for one, as just a regular American citizen, I'm trying to figure out, and I think I know the answer. And I said earlier, fool me once, shame on you; fool me twice, shame on me. I'm not going to be fooled anymore. Reverend or Rabbi, anybody that wants to weigh in this, because if any of you had any input or aware of any input that was taken seriously, and not given some kind of a massage.
I'm not aware of any input other than what the average citizen would have. But I also have to say that those closing comments in my statement that the administration's accommodation was no accommodation at all were written several days ago before I learned that on Friday the final rule had no accommodation. That seems to me not to reflect good faith efforts and trust.
Rabbi.
I just refer Congressman to series of questionings that took place on the other side of the Hill when Senator Hatch asked Secretary Sebelius about not only whether they had originally, in designing these guidelines, looked into the concerns of religious communities, but also to the constitutional and legal issues of religious freedom, and the answer was quite remarkable.
Dr. Mitchell?
I'm not aware of anybody asking about this, but you know, when you consider that the President taught constitutional law at the University of Chicago, you kind of think that this would have been the first thing you would have considered.
Yeah, well, I like you. I'm tired of being gamed. I want to thank you all for being here. I want to thank you for speaking. And also, my bishop, Bishop Zubik in Pittsburgh and Bishop Troutman in Erie, have been very clear about how they feel about this to everybody that they can talk to. I appreciate you coming forward. I appreciate your bravery. And we continue to battle for the same things, and that is the defense of our First Amendment. Thank you so much. And I yield back, Mr. Chairman.
I thank